Welcome to Peaceful Soul, a place where we explore the hidden secrets of health, the mind, and how to live in balance amidst the constant pressure of modern life. Take a moment to pause and ask yourself, do you ever feel your heart racing as a deadline gets closer? Or maybe you find yourself lying awake at night, filled with endless worry, even when there's no clear reason? If so, you're not alone. In today's video, a doctor who has spent years studying the human body and mind, will guide you deep into the world of stress. More than just a fleeting feeling, stress can actually reshape your brain, weaken your immune system, strain your heart, and even shorten your lifespan. But don't worry, because on this journey we'll also discover how to turn stress into an ally instead of the silent enemy that wears down your health. So what exactly is stress? And why does it exist? Stress, in reality, is a natural reaction of the body when faced with challenges or threats. If you think back to our distant ancestors, living deep in the forests and facing wild predators, the stress response was the very thing that helped them run faster, strike harder, and survive. Today, we no longer fight tigers or bears, but our bodies react in the exact same way when we're stuck in traffic, under pressure from a boss, or preparing for an important exam. Biologically speaking, when the brain senses danger, it triggers a system known as fight or flight. The adrenal glands release hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, making your heart beat faster, raising your blood pressure, and sending blood rushing to your muscles to prepare for action. That's why your palms get sweaty, your breath quickens, or your stomach twists when you're stressed. And here's the interesting part: in the short term, these reactions are actually helpful. They sharpen your focus, heighten your awareness, and give you a burst of energy to deal with challenges. But the real issue isn't short-term stress, it's long-term stress. When your body is constantly stuck in high alert, stress hormones start causing damage from the inside out. Your heart is forced to work overtime, your immune system weakens, and even your brain begins to change in harmful ways. Modern science has shown that chronic stress doesn't just make you feel drained, it's also linked to heart disease, diabetes, depression, and even accelerated aging. Think of it like driving a car with your foot pressed on the gas pedal nonstop. At first, you'll feel powerful, but if you keep pushing at that speed, the engine will eventually burn out. The human body is no different. Stress itself isn't the enemy, but if you let it take control, it can destroy the very vehicle of health that carries you through life. And that's why understanding stress, learning how to harness its benefits while avoiding its damage, is so important. Now let's take a closer look at the connection between stress and the cardiovascular system. The heart is a tireless machine, working day and night to pump blood throughout the body. But when stress appears, especially long-term stress, the heart is pushed into overdrive. When the brain sends out an alarm signal, the adrenal glands immediately release adrenaline, the hormone that makes your heartbeat race. At first, this isn't necessarily harmful. For example, if you need to sprint to catch a bus, that surge of adrenaline gives you the extra energy you need. But if every day feels like a never-ending sprint, your heart ends up paying the price with fatigue and damage. Adrenaline rarely comes alone. It's often accompanied by cortisol, what scientists call the primary stress hormone. Cortisol raises blood pressure and weakens the endothelium, the protective lining of blood vessels. When this protective layer is compromised, cholesterol and plaque begin to build up, setting the stage for atherosclerosis. And that's the fastest route towards serious cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes. What's troubling is that this process often goes unnoticed. A college student in the US named Emily once told me she frequently felt her heart racing, but assumed it was just the coffee or exam pressure. It wasn't until she collapsed from severe chest pain in the library that doctors diagnosed her with early-onset hypertension, at only 23 years old. Her story is a powerful reminder that stress is not something to shrug off. It can make your cardiovascular system age far faster than your actual years. Modern medical research also shows that people working in high-pressure environments, such as emergency responders or pilots, are at a higher than average risk for heart disease. This doesn't mean you need to walk away from a demanding career, but it does mean you need to find ways to release the pressure valve for your heart. Because the heart was designed to beat steadily and reliably, not to run an endless race. The story of the second brain in your gut is all about the powerful connection between stress and the digestive system. People often say emotions live in the heart, but modern science has discovered that our gut also has its own second brain. This is the enteric nervous system, a massive network of nerves running along the digestive tract. When the brain senses stress, it sends signals directly down to the gut through this system, sparking a chain of reactions you can actually feel: stomach churning, indigestion, or that jittery sensation we call butterflies in the stomach. This isn't imagination, it's real biology. Cortisol and adrenaline don't just make your heart race, they also interfere with the natural rhythm of stomach and intestinal contractions. When you're under heavy stress, this rhythm gets disrupted, leading to conditions like irritable bowel syndrome. Many of my patients have told me they experience stomach cramps, diarrhea, or constipation every time they face exams or have to present in front of a crowd. Mark, a law student, is a perfect example. Before every major exam, he'd suffer from severe abdominal pain, even though medical tests showed no serious illness. But stress doesn't stop at disrupting movement, it also changes the gut microbiome. Researchers at Harvard have shown that chronic stress can throw off the balance between good bacteria and bad bacteria, directly affecting the immune system and overall health. This explains why some people who eat healthy still struggle with bloating or indigestion when living under constant pressure. Your gut doesn't just digest food, it digests emotions too. Another consequence that often goes unnoticed is stress making the gut more sensitive to stomach acid, which increases the risk of acid reflux and heartburn. You might notice this after a stressful day at work, when even a normal dinner leaves you uncomfortable. Sarah, an office worker in New York, once shared with me that she suffered from frequent heartburn and thought it was all due to irregular eating. But when she started practicing meditation and yoga, her symptoms improved by nearly 70%. That shows your gut doesn't just need good food, it needs a calm mind to function at its best. And now, let's talk about stress, body weight, and the waistline. When the hormone cortisol turns food into belly fat. One of the most frustrating side effects of stress is the way it reshapes your waist. When you're under pressure, your body releases large amounts of cortisol, the hormone that makes you crave sugary and starchy foods. That's why, after a stressful day at work, many people find themselves reaching for pizza, pastries, or ice cream as a reward. Biologically, your body is demanding quick energy to handle a threat. But when stress becomes chronic, those extra calories end up stored as belly fat. Unlike the fat under your skin that you can pinch, visceral belly fat sits deep inside, wrapping around vital organs like the liver and stomach. This type of fat is especially dangerous because it acts almost like an endocrine organ, releasing chemicals called cytokines. These cytokines trigger chronic inflammation, raising the risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and insulin resistance. In other words, an expanding waistline isn't just a cosmetic concern, it's an early warning sign of serious health problems. I often share the story of James, a tech worker in California. James used to have a lean build, but after several years in a high-pressure job, he noticed his belly steadily growing, even though his diet hadn't changed much. A medical checkup revealed early signs of insulin resistance and elevated bad cholesterol. The main culprit? Chronic work stress, which kept his cortisol levels high and converted energy straight into belly fat. His story is a reminder that your waistline can reveal far more about your overall health than you might think. Interestingly, research from Yale University shows that women are more prone to stress-related belly fat than men, even when they don't eat more. This proves that stress hormones hold unique power over the body, far beyond simple willpower. You may think you're just indulging a little to cope, but in reality, cortisol is silently recording and storing those calories as visceral fat. That's why managing stress is just as important as exercise or dieting if you want a healthy waistline. Stress doesn't just wear you down mentally, it also strikes directly at your immune system, the shield that protects your body from illness. In the short term, hormones like cortisol and adrenaline help prepare your body to fight off infections or heal wounds. But when stress becomes chronic, those same hormones actually suppress immune cell activity, leaving you more vulnerable to infections and slowing down your healing process. That's why so many people catch a cold or get sick right after long Exhausting periods of work. Researchers at Carnegie Mellon University once conducted a fascinating experiment. They exposed a group of volunteers to the cold virus. The results showed that those under chronic stress were far more likely to get sick compared to those with lower stress levels. This proves that stress doesn't just live in your head, it literally influences whether or not your body falls ill. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. Stress also chips away at cellular longevity by attacking telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of your chromosomes. Each time a cell divides, its telomeres shorten slightly. When they become too short, the cell can no longer replicate and eventually dies. This is a natural part of aging. But chronic stress accelerates this process, making your cells age faster than your actual years. One groundbreaking study by Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn, a Nobel Prize-winning scientist, revealed that women caring for chronically ill children, living under relentless stress, had telomeres as short as women 10 years older. In other words, stress can make your body biologically a decade older in just a few years. As frightening as that sounds, it also shows how closely the body mirrors what the mind goes through. To picture this more clearly, imagine the plastic tip at the end of a shoelace. If that tip wears down or disappears, the lace frays and falls apart. Telomeres play the same role for the DNA inside your cells. Stress acts like sandpaper, grinding down this protective cap faster than normal, shortening the shoelace of life itself. That means managing stress doesn't just impact your mood, it directly shapes your biological lifespan. And now, let's talk about the everyday signs of stress, those small but noticeable changes like breakouts, hair loss, poor focus, and constant fatigue. You've probably experienced this after just a few days of late nights or non-stop pressure at work. You look in the mirror and spot a few annoying red pimples on your face. This isn't random. Cortisol ramps up oil production in the skin, which clogs pores. Add in a weakened immune system under stress, and bacteria thrive, leading to breakouts. Sometimes, it's not the greasy food that's making your skin flare up, but stress itself that's throwing your complexion out of balance. And it doesn't stop at your skin. Your hair can also respond to stress. Many of my patients have complained about sudden, patchy hair loss during times of emotional crisis. In fact, stress disrupts the natural growth cycle of your hair, pushing many strands into the shedding phase at once. Anna, a young designer in Chicago, went through this after a painful breakup. Within months, her hair thinned dramatically. It only began to recover once she found ways to relax through yoga and fixed her sleep routine. Beyond skin and hair, stress directly impacts your ability to focus. When the brain stays stuck in high alert mode, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for concentration and decision-making, gets suppressed. This explains why it's so hard to finish a single page of a book or why you keep forgetting simple things when you're stressed out. It's not that you're less intelligent, your brain is simply overwhelmed by alarm signals. Your body also signals fatigue. With cortisol running high, your sleep becomes fragmented, leaving you drained even after what seems like a full night's rest. Many patients tell me, "I slept 8 hours, but I still feel exhausted." The truth is, their sleep is broken into shallow cycles, so the brain never enters the deep restorative stages. The result? Irritability, sluggishness, and lower productivity. These symptoms may sound minor, but they're your body's early warning signs. If you're constantly breaking out, shedding hair, struggling to concentrate, or feeling exhausted, it's often not just a cosmetic issue or poor lifestyle choice. It's your biology showing you that stress is digging deeper than you think. Recognizing these signals early is key before they snowball into more serious chronic conditions. When it comes to the impact of stress, sometimes we need to hear real stories to truly understand how deeply it affects lives. Let me tell you about Mark, a 38-year-old banker in New York. He had always been healthy and proud of his stamina at work. But after years of sales pressure, Mark began waking up in the middle of the night with a racing heart and cold sweats. By morning, he couldn't focus on anything. Eventually, during a meeting, he collapsed from a mild heart attack. That experience forced him to change his lifestyle. Then there's Sarah, an elementary school teacher in Texas. She loved her job, But the constant stress of overcrowded classrooms and family responsibilities drove her into depression. Sarah once shared that every morning she had to fight just to find the motivation to get out of bed. Her skin broke out, her hair started falling, and she lost weight rapidly. When she finally saw a doctor, they discovered her cortisol levels were abnormally high and her immune system had weakened. Through therapy combined with meditation, she slowly regained her energy and joy for life. Another story comes from David, a tech engineer in California. Passionate about programming, he poured himself into a critical project that lasted for months, surviving on coffee and fast food. The result? His waistline expanded by more than 4 inches in just half a year. His blood pressure skyrocketed, and blood tests revealed he was on the verge of prediabetes. He thought rest alone would fix it, but his doctor warned that unless he changed, stress and poor diet could push him toward heart disease far earlier than expected. Thankfully, David returned to exercise and began managing stress by running every morning. These stories aren't just about their struggles, they're warnings for all of us. Stress doesn't discriminate. Whether you're a banker, a teacher, or an engineer, it can reshape your appearance, your health, and even the direction of your life. But what all three of them share is this: they recognized their body's warning signs, sought help, and dared to make changes. That means any one of us has the chance to rewrite our own story. After hearing the stories of Mark, Sarah, and David, you might be wondering, what can we actually do to manage stress before it ruins our health? The good news is, science has shown us many effective ways, and the best part is, we can start applying them today. You don't need a total life overhaul, just small, consistent steps can greatly reduce the negative impact of stress on your body. Let's start with breathing. Research from Harvard University shows that deep breathing exercises, especially belly breathing, can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for calming the body after the fight or flight response. When you take a few minutes each day to inhale deeply through your nose, hold it for a moment, and slowly exhale through your mouth, your heartbeat slows down, your blood pressure stabilizes, and your brain receives the signal that you are safe. It's a free tool, but incredibly powerful. Next is movement. You don't need to push yourself with heavy gym workouts or run a marathon to shake off stress. A study from the Mayo Clinic found that just 30 minutes of brisk walking a day can lower cortisol levels and boost endorphins, the happy hormones. You can choose what works best for you. Some people love yoga. Others feel great cycling outdoors or dancing with friends. The key is consistent movement, giving your body the chance to release negative energy. Sleep is another critical factor. When you're sleep deprived, your brain reacts more strongly to stress, creating a vicious cycle of stress right-pointing arrow, insomnia right-pointing arrow, more stress. Researchers at Stanford recommend setting a regular sleep and wake schedule, avoiding screens at least an hour before bed, and turning your bedroom into a quiet, cool, dark space. Quality sleep doesn't just calm stress, it strengthens your immune system and supports long-term heart health. Nutrition also plays a vital role. When stressed, we often crave sweets or greasy fried foods, but studies show that foods rich in omega-3s, like salmon, walnuts, and leafy greens, can reduce inflammation and improve mood. On top of that, probiotics in yogurt or kimchi support your gut microbiome, your body's second brain, helping buffer stress's negative impact on digestion. Eating well not only fuels your body but also stabilizes your emotions. Finally, lifestyle and social connection matter deeply. Research shows that people with strong friendships and family ties cope with stress far better than those who feel isolated. Sometimes, a heartfelt conversation with a close friend can ease tension faster than any pill. On top of that, making time for relaxing activities like reading, listening to music, journaling, or meditating creates much-needed breathing space for your mind. The most important thing to remember is this: you can't eliminate stress from life, but you can change how your body and mind respond to it. When you practice deep breathing, stay active, sleep well, eat healthy, and nurture your relationships, you'll gradually find that stress is no longer your enemy, it becomes a force that makes you stronger. Stress isn't the enemy, it's a natural part of life. It shows up whenever we face challenges, changes, or new pressures. The key isn't to eliminate stress completely, but to choose how we respond to it. Managed well, stress can actually drive creativity, sharpen focus, and push us to grow. But if left unchecked, it can quietly erode both body and mind. Science has proven that balance comes from small actions. A deep breath, a walk outdoors, or simply turning off your phone earlier before bed can make a real difference. These seemingly small choices are the foundation of a strong immune system. A steady heart, and a clear mind. Every day, you have the chance to lay another brick toward a healthier future. The most inspiring lesson from the stories we've shared is the power of change. Mark recovered from a heart scare and started living healthier. Sarah rediscovered her joy for teaching by learning to care for herself. David turned exercise into his therapy for stress relief. They weren't more special than you. They just dared to listen to their bodies and take action. And that means you can too. The biggest takeaway is this: stress doesn't define you. It's simply a signal your body sends, reminding you to rest, recharge, and realign. When you see stress not as a threat, but as a companion, you'll realize it's teaching you resilience, self-care, and balance. True peace doesn't come from eliminating every struggle, but from learning to walk steadily through them. And if today's message resonated with you, don't let it end here. Turn knowledge into action. And if you found this video helpful, share it with family or friends so they too can discover strength for their own journey. Every share could be a precious gift for someone's health and soul. Thank you for staying with Peaceful Soul until the very end of this journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so we can continue exploring more science-based insights and meaningful stories together. I'll see you in the next video, where every moment brings peace and positive energy.